All right. It's 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bovencourt.
Here.
Councilmember Scribner.
Here.
Councilmember Wiggins. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Davies.
Here.
And Mayor Smith.
Here.
Everyone is present. Thank you.
If you'd please stand for invocation. Pastor Chris Frost from Mountain Bible Church is here. Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Let's bow our heads and pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Creator of all of us in this room tonight, we come before you and we just recognize and invite your presence into this room. Your word tells us that if we lack wisdom, we should ask from you. You give generously to all men and women wisdom, and you give it without reproach. And so we pray for wisdom for everybody here tonight. I thank you for the city council and all the public servants here that are here. May your blessings be upon them and their families and any trials that they may be going through. I just pray for the divine wisdom to fill our hearts tonight, which is represented by kindness and peace and tranquility and patience and long-suffering and love. We want your will to be done here in Tehachapi, California, as it is in heaven. So that is our prayer tonight. May your blessings be upon this city, and may your grace shine upon it. We pray this in Jesus' name. And all of God's people said,
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. All right. Pledge. Joan, would you lead us tonight?
Salute pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our first item is our consent agenda. These are considered routine and non-controversial by staff, and they're marked with an asterisk. Is there anyone in the audience or on the council who would like to see anything from consent removed for a separate discussion? All right. Do I have a motion to approve consent as presented?
So move. I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wiggins?
Yes.
Councilmember Bovencourt?
Yes.
Councilmember Scribner?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davies?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Thank you.
It's a 5-0 vote to approve the consent agenda.
All right. I have two great proclamations this evening. These are the kind of things that are really fun. So, I made it through the obstacle course. So the first item we have is present a certificate proclaiming May 15th through 21st as National Police Week. So I'm going to move back a little bit, right about there. Chief, did you want to come up for this?
You know what, I'm going to bring my whole crew up.
Or the whole crew? If there's someone that's on a cruiser that wants to come in too, we'll wait for them.
I feel very
Hi guys and ladies. You shy? All right. Are we balanced? Okay. All right. This is a certificate of recognition. The Tehachapi City Council hereby recognizes the week beginning Sunday, May 15th, 2022 in the city of Tehachapi as National Police Week. In 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. Established by a joint resolution of Congress in 1962, National Police Week pays special recognition to those law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. The City of Tehachapi would like to thank and recognize the men and women of the Tehachapi Police Department and surrounding agencies for their work and dedication to the law enforcement profession. And there we are. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, guys. I'm just one handshake representing a whole bunch of people. Really appreciate you. Absolutely. Okay.
All right.
And did you want to say a couple things while we got them?
No, just, really important that we express our gratitude to the men and women that go out and serve us every day across the nation. 2021 was a particularly bad year. Record number of law enforcement officers, 458 that died in the line of duty. So really important, again, to express the gratitude to them that go out every day and honor those who lost their lives in the line of duty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. All right, we have one more.
And we have one more.
Yes. You want to all stay?
The rest of you guys can sit down and we'll...
All right. This is a certificate of recognition. The Tehachapi City Council hereby recognizes Sergeant Amelia Thompson. So how many years you got with us?
15 at the end of the month.
Awesome. Isn't that the neatest thing? I'm going to go ahead and read this.
Okay.
We don't get to do this very often.
That's good.
For her outstanding service with the Tehachapi Police Department. As one of the first officers of the re-established Tehachapi Police Department in 2007, Sergeant Thompson has served the citizens of Tehachapi during her tenure while establishing herself as a distinguished leader and law enforcement professional. On behalf of the residents in the city of Tehachapi, whom she has protected for nearly 15 years, the Tehachapi City Council thanks you for your service to this community and wishes you well in the next phase of your law enforcement career. And we really appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you,
You have
guys.
another word?
Yeah, just, unfortunately, we're losing Amelia to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. She's going to be leaving us. As the mayor stated, she's been with us since 2007 when they reestablished the police department. And she's been with me the entire time that I've been here. She's really been a key part of our team. Particularly, she served as my operations sergeant for a couple of years and was my right hand and has really been instrumental in a lot of the things that we've accomplished here in the department, from our field training program to our property and evidence section, and just a lot of things that she's done for us, and really be some big shoes to fill, and hopefully we can find somebody to do that, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and we're going to miss you. So, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you're gonna let me get away with not saying anything.
That's okay.
No, I'll just say it's been, I wouldn't leave. I would pick Tehachapi up and move Tehachapi to Idaho. I don't want to leave, but not to get too deep into it, but I mean, I work with great people here. The community has been phenomenal. We don't necessarily see that at all places in California. So like I said, I'd pick up every one of you guys and move you to Idaho if I could.
We certainly appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're going to be missed, but good luck.
I'll be back. I'll visit.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I was on the council when we went to a contract, and then when we came back in 2007 and did this. And I am so happy that we have our police force in-house now. It's just worked out well. Sometimes you have to leave to appreciate what you have. Come back, right?
There's no doubt about it. Chief Krager leads an amazing police force. This department is the standard, I believe, for Kern County, and our budget priorities reflect that. We're getting ready to, we're engaged now with a very challenging budget season, where we're focusing on public safety and Chief Krager's department, your police department, and we're committed to continuing making this city very safe as it can be.
Yes. Thanks for everything, Chief. And I think your crew knows they're very well appreciated. Yes, all right. Very much appreciated. Audience oral and written communications. Is there anyone who'd like to bring something to the council's attention that's not on the agenda this evening? All right. First item that is not with an asterisk is item number 7, our finance director's report. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Smith, council members. The items before you are a public hearing and the adoption of resolutions that will approve final engineer reports and order the levy and collection of assessments for 3 different districts, that being Landscape and Lighting Assessment District number 1, Drainage Benefit Assessment District number 2014-1, and Drainage Benefit Assessment District number 1. This is all for fiscal year 2022-23. At the last council meeting on May 2nd, the council adopted the preliminary engineer's report as well as the intent to levy. So staff recommends that you hold a public hearing and adopt the resolutions needed to levy the assessments.
Mr. Mayor, if you want to take them all 3 together, you can do that. If there's no objection of the council, hold one public hearing for all 3 of them and one motion to adopt the report resolutions.
Without objection from the audience or the council, we'll do all 3 with one motion.
I'll make that motion. as
So
presented.
before we do that, I have to have a public hearing. I'm sorry. But you
So excited
you get
at the expediency here.
You get to make the motion. So we'll open the public hearing on items 7, 8, and 9, all 3 districts, and ask, there was notice of public hearing.
It was published in the Tehachapi News on May 4th, 2022, and there was no correspondence received.
Thank you. And the staff report, anything addition to what you, on the title? This is fairly generic, but if anyone else has a comment from the public? All right, we'll close the public hearing. And the staff recommendation is to adopt on item 7, 2 resolutions, amending and/or approving the final engineer's report and city ordering the levy and collection of assessments within the landscaping and lighting assessment district number 1, fiscal year number 2022-23. So you've read all 3 of these actually by title only?
Yes, they're all for the same. That one has 2 resolutions, the other has 1, but they all do the same.
All right. So do I need to get any further reading because he's already read them?
Right. They don't have to be read, they're not ordinances.
All right. So Christina, jump in there.
I will make that motion as presented.
All right, that's for all 3. Do I have a motion for all 3?
I think she just did.
I'd second.
I'll second.
There we go.
The second.
I know what you meant.
Roll call vote, please. There we go.
Councilmember Wiggins? Yes. Councilmember Pokencourt?
Yes.
Councilmember Scribner? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Davies?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Yes.
It was a 5-0 vote to adopt the resolutions as presented.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Ready?
Yes.
All right. The first item I have for you, Honorable Mayor, council members, is a resolution adopting a list of projects for fiscal year 22-23 funded by SB1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017. So, better known as the gas tax. As you will all recall, SB1 is a 10-year program in which there's additional gas tax that is directed to all levels of state government, including local agencies, for the purpose of road maintenance. The use of this money requires 2 primary steps that you guys have taken in each of the years since we've had this program. One is in May, in which we tell the state, we provide a report to them about how we expect to utilize the money this year, and then a report around the end of the year in which we report on how we actually spent the money. So as a reminder, these funds may only be used for streets and roads maintenance. They are limited against the use on staff expenses. And the legislature did that on purpose so that agencies wouldn't utilize this money to expand staff. SB1 is known as the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017. It's been estimated in previous years that we would receive around $270,000 annually through this gas tax. You'll note in the resolution, maybe one of you noted, that the number is at about $325,000 this year expected. The reason is because gas prices are higher. It's an unfortunate reason. if you go to pump, but that results in additional gas tax that we're able to utilize. So that's the reason for the discrepancy. We're required to provide the California Transportation Commission with our list of projects. The only other thing that I would say is, as a reminder, the Public Works Department under Dawn's leadership has produced a 10-year program for our different pots of maintenance money, this being but one of them, in which we would move systematically around town and pick up areas. So we are staying with that plan. These projects that I'm presenting tonight are part of that plan. And specifically, we're proposing to spend the money on West D Street, E Street, and F Street, where we will do a pavement overlay, and that we're also proposing to purchase a skid steer loader, which is an eligible expense and a needed piece of equipment because California's air regulations are requiring us to purchase new equipment sooner than we planned in order to have cleaner air vehicles. So the diagram shows the areas that we're targeting. And I recommend you adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Tehachapi approving the list of projects for fiscal year 22-23 funded by SB1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Tom, do I need to recuse? I live on one of these streets that's in here.
No,
It's
you're benefiting just like the general
benefiting like
public.
everyone else. All right. Just bringing it up for anyone who wants to ask. All right.
Where you feel it's not your street, it's not your block.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, your street.
That is true.
We're not getting in front of your house. Sorry.
Hey,
That was Dawn's decision.
Is there any public comment on this? So, all right, seeing none, is there any comment from the council?
I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, Jay, would you go back to your little picture? Why is that little green one out there all by itself? Just, it doesn't look like it's attached to anything.
It's an orphan project.
Attached to the other ones and finish them up, it looks
Yeah,
like.
you want to, back,
Yeah.
I can't, I don't have them all in my memory, I'm afraid.
We select which streets are going to be rehabilitated based on the condition, and that's the block right in front of City Park. And it's based on condition and traffic, and that is one of the worst blocks in town. I didn't want to wait until we got that far through town, so I wanted to go grab that block because it's really bad, and then all the festivals and everything downtown as well.
Okay. Thank
Now,
you.
last year we did several streets. Do you want to review those at all, or just that confuse everything? We're trying to get a few streets every year. We'll just leave it at that.
Correct, yeah, so, and this is only but one of a couple. We're hoping to get Valley Boulevard next year, if not maybe this year. Don't hold me to it. I'm trying to accelerate that RSDP funding to do half of Valley Boulevard from Curry to Mountain View. And then we also have a series of slurry seal projects that we're working on as well that we're not quite ready to present. So this is, again, we have a cocktail of money that we put together, and we're working through our 10-year plan with that money.
You said half of Valley?
Valley, half of it, sorry, I look at all of Valley from Curry to Mountain View.
That would be
half
better.
of that mile of Valley is what I've got in my brain. So
All right.
forgive me.
The whole
way I
street.
phrase that. The whole street, correct.
I like that much
Yeah.
better.
So we're actively trying to push that one ahead. So.
That's needed. Thank you. Any other comment from you? Susan? Michael? Christina? All right. It's good to see some money going into pavement. All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Wiggins?
Yes.
Councilmember Colquitt?
Yes.
Councilmember Scrivener? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Davies?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Yes.
It was a 5-0 vote to adopt the resolution as presented.
Thank you. Jake, next item.
Very good.
Number 11.
Second item that I have for you is the Valley Boulevard Recreational Park Project. So as a reminder, the Clean California Grant Program came out, Assembly Bill of 149, to reduce trash generation and to beautify and clean up local streets, roads, tribal lands, parks, pathways, transit centers, and other public spaces. And so we at the staff level, you guys, I believe we brought this project to you, thought that a park on the city's 1 acre of property located on Valley Boulevard, south side of Valley Boulevard, right at the intersection with Mountain View. We own that 1 acre parcel, and back when we had an active RDA, we had purchased that property with the intent of constructing a park in that location. Then that funding source dried up, and we've kind of kept our eye on it since that time. So we jumped on this opportunity to go for this grant. And as you'll recall, this same grant funding source is funding the city's efforts to clean up Tucker Road. We'll be reimbursed for cleaning up Tucker Road on Caltrans's behalf. This is the same pot of money that's doing that. So there's a very short trigger. That was the big requirement from the state of California, is if you took the money, you had to have it fully built. I think by 2024, you had to have all the money spent, which to spend $2 million on a park is not as simple as it sounds. And so, but again, because we already owned the parcel of land, that's what made it a real possibility, because that can be one of the longest phases of any project, is the acquisition piece. So we have received the agreement that the California Department of Transportation requires us to sign in order to utilize the money. We have not completed the process of having it reviewed by the city attorney, but because of the timeline, we want to get to design as soon as possible. And so tonight I'm presenting to you the agreement in a draft format, and asking you, as my recommendation, to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign and execute agreements with the California Department of Transportation for the Valley Boulevard Recreational Park, subject to the review and approval by the city attorney. So that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Any questions or comments from
Jay, I have a question. I understand, how Caltrans is involved with cleanup and all of that business with the road, but how do they get involved in parks? To me, that's Parks and Rec, not Caltrans.
Yeah.
Maybe you could explain that to me.
Yeah, the nexus that they provided so every grant has eligibility guidelines. So there's a document that the grant agency produces that sort of gives you the idea of like, okay, here's the framework of what we're trying to spend this money on. And part of that framework was taking public spaces that were dilapidated or underutilized or not very attractive, and bringing them up to a higher standard so they can be used by the public. And so in our case, we happen to have a vacant lot. And we've had some code-related, frankly, some significant code-related issues in that neighborhood. And we had also, again, years ago, purchased the property with the RDA with the idea that that particular neighborhood, which is low income, could really, and a lot of apartments without any space for kids to be, could really benefit from a park in that location. That's why we bought it. So it fell within the greater context of the grant application program. If you want me to editorialize, I would simply say the state has a lot of money. They have a budget surplus this year that's greater than the budget of a lot of other states.
Yes. Countries.
And yeah.
I mean, the surplus itself is a bit bigger
The surplus is $97 billion. That's California's surplus. That's their, and so I think the governor, recognizing that communities have been really suffering through COVID and due to the homelessness crisis with trash and run-down public spaces, that was the thought process. So that's kind of what we do. We try to take a spot like that and find where we fit in that. We don't always fit with grants, but this one we felt like we've been keeping our eye on that park space for a long time. Feel like it's a good investment.
I think the bigger question here is, why is Caltrans spending money in the city of Tehachapi on a park and not improving Highway 58?
I've got that question coming up, but go ahead.
Or any highway and byway in our great state. Our priorities seem to be skewed. We do have a budget surplus, but we have lots of debt in this state. We cannot answer the question you have. It's a great question we've asked ourselves. But when grant opportunities make themselves available, we don't write the rules for grants. We apply for those grants, we compete for those grants, and we're the recipient of those grants. So it's a process that we don't all agree with. So I agree with your question completely, Councilmember Podencourt. We have lots of work to do on our streets, highways, and byways, and we're spending money through a transportation department on parks.
All right. So, yes, Christina.
I heard you say that the money has to be spent by, I believe you said, the end of 2024.
Don't hold me to it. I can't remember the exact date, but I knew it was 2 to 3 years.
Well, I appreciate the fact that there's a difference between the time the money is spent and the time that the kids are playing on the park.
Correct.
Can you give us an idea about when?
My hope is to build it next summer. So to have it up and running by fall of next year is our proposed timeline internally.
So you're hoping to actually have it open prior to 2024?
Yes, ma'am. My goal is, we're able, if we can get this signed, we already have an authorized designer, because we have to go through a process to get approval to use a given designer from the state of California. So we wisely set that up so that we can immediately go to our consultant of choice and begin design as soon as we can get this done. Environmental is blessedly simple. On an already vacant lot like this, there's no habitat that we're disturbing or anything of that nature. So we're hopeful to get design done in calendar year 22 and be ready to go to construction in spring, summer of next year.
Okay, great. And just as and also, I really appreciate how much work has been done to create safe walkways in front of all of those apartments. And I think that's critical that we not only have a really lovely park for those kids to enjoy safely, but also a safe way to get there and back. So, you know, I think that this was well thought out to manage the possibility until we had an opportunity to really pursue. And I say we, because I had nothing to do with this good work that you all did, but the city team to find that way to thread that needle. So thank you for your good work on that.
For what it's worth, we genuinely consider you guys part of the team. If we did not have the consistent support we received from council for our endeavors, we would not dream like this at my staff level. We would be, like so many other cities, contented to do what lands on our desk instead of trying to find ways to better our community. And I could not agree with your sentiment more, Councilmember Bogencourt. I'm with, Ray and I are on 100% the same page. We have, but the state of California, just so you know, they are canceling all capacity projects on freeways across the state. They're saying, we don't believe that the future is in expanding roadways, it's in mass transit, it's in bicycles. And philosophically, I certainly appreciate the bicycle and pedestrian and mass transit components as a civil engineer who's trained in these things, but not to the exclusion of the reality of needing truck climbing lanes, for instance, on Highway 58 for safety, if for no other reason. So it's a struggle, but again, you guys allow us, you put us in a position for us to go, we'll go for that, because they'll back us up. They want to see the same goal we do, and so we appreciate that.
It also begs the question, you know, we spend decades and tons of paper and hundreds of $1 million in some cases on street projects, road projects, highways, but it takes 2 months to get a park grant, and then we're going to spend the money and build a park in less than a year. Why can't we do that with roads? There's a flaw in the system. We love parks. We love bicycle lanes. We love sidewalks.
Trees.
But we also love roads. But we can't build roads. They're making it impossible for us to build roads and maintain roads near me.
All right, any further discussion?
I would just like to know where are all those electric cars going to go? They have to be on the road.
I don't have a good answer for you, I'm afraid.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the funds?
I'll make that motion as presented.
All right, I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wiggins?
Yes.
Councilmember Bogencourt?
Yes.
Councilmember Scrivener?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davies?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Yes.
It was a 5-0 vote to adopt the resolution as presented.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. You know, since we're talking transportation in here, funding, I went to a seminar, gosh, probably 10 years or more ago at Bass Lake with the California Transportation Commission folks. And they were talking how the gas tax pays for the roads and everything. As vehicles become more fuel efficient, they still have the same wear on the freeway. The electric car wears the freeway the same as a regular gasoline car, but we're not collecting as much tax from those vehicles. So stay tuned. When we're all in an electric vehicle, I'm sure, but you know, you travel to other states and they pay, you put $1 in the toll and it pays for the roads. You know, I would not be opposed to that if they would just do it, you know? Anyway, that's another, we were on a subject.
Another 24-hour discussion.
All right. We have Assistant City Manager report. Corey, good evening.
Good evening. Mayor Smith and council members, tonight I have another sort of implementation tool for Senate Bill 1383, which we're all aware of as the mandatory organics recycling, which we've had this council had plenty of action on. In the past, this part is the presentation and approval of what we're calling the Tehachapi Edible Food Recovery Partnership Program in compliance with the provision of SB 1383. So this legislation, along with requiring organics recycling, procurement, it also had a goal to rescue what they assumed was edible food. They wanted to recover 20% of edible food that would otherwise be sent to landfills, and the law was directing jurisdictions like ours to establish a food recovery program or strengthen their existing food recovery networks. So what we decided to do, instead of reinventing the wheel and adding another sort of program or staff responsibility, we went out and identified who's already doing this in the city of Tehachapi. Our local Salvation Army is one of them. They have a very robust and strong edible food recovery program. The city has what CalRecycle identifies as Tier 1 commercial food generators. These are large grocery stores, food service places. We have only 5, which is Walmart, Albertsons, Save Mart, Dollar General, so basically your grocery stores. And then CCI, but we have confirmed through CCI there is no stream of edible food to be recovered because they portion everything out. They know exactly what they're going to feed each inmate each day, and they don't have food waste. So they're kind of off the list. But the other 4 are, all 4 are already donating with the Salvation Army or other food rescue organizations in the city, but most of those are through the Salvation Army. In 2024, this bill will change yet again because the regulations like to shift, and they'll include Tier 2 generators, which are a little bit smaller operation. We only have one of those, which is Tehachapi Unified School District, and we'll kind of get them involved as that becomes more necessary in 2024. So what we're trying to do is just identify folks who are already doing that, and then just set up some reporting requirements so we can make sure we are capturing what they are receiving from the commercial food generators, and we report that back to CalRecycle on an annual basis to let them know what we are basically diverting from the landfill. So the Salvation Army has that agreement in place already with those previously mentioned Tier 1 generators, and on a weekly basis they get donations. Once a month they are reporting back to the city what they received the previous month, and then they give us year-to-date totals as well. So we're going to take that model. Salvation Army is doing it. If any other food organizations, rescue organizations would like to come on board as well, we will have the same requirements. So really it's just instead of creating our own program, many cities create their own program. They're going out and they are trying to rescue food to a food bank. They run their own food bank. We don't have those type of resources. So what we're doing is just working with those that are already doing it. We'll make sure that any new Tier 1 or Tier 2 generators opening for business are educated about the requirements of the law and also are involved with edible food recovery as necessary. And once in a while, we will have to not necessarily inspect. There were inspection provisions required in the law. We actually are going to sort of defer that, and if it comes to our attention via the Kern County Health Department as they're doing their inspections, and hey, there might be some, excess food waste that's not being donated, we will follow up on that. But we don't have any plans to actively go inspect these places because most of them are doing a very good job with their partners in the community. So as has previously been the case, though, this is mostly unfunded. It's one of the unfunded mandates in the state of California. It requires staff time and a few other resources. We were awarded recently a $21,000 grant from CalRecycle to assist with the implementation of the provisions of 1383, which is not a lot of money to think about all the different provisions we've already talked about. This is yet another one. We'll seek reimbursement for any appropriate charges. The remaining costs will be absorbed by the Refuse and Recycling Fund. So with that in mind, we ask you to approve the City of Tehachapi Edible Food Recovery Partnership Program in compliance with SB 1383. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Corey. Any questions from the public? Yes. Come on up, please. Come on down.
The Senior Citizen Center has a food for the old folks. I didn't know about it until recently. But there's a truck that comes on Wednesday or something like that and gives out, 70 pounds of food? And their Meals on Wheels is kind of having major problems. I understand that they deliver, a person delivers it. There's 3 routes in town, and a person delivers it who is not paid. And, well, I guess when you're not getting paid, riding your own gasoline, things kind of go. So maybe, I guess, the cities, the citizen kind of controls and has something to do with helping out the senior citizen. So, but there's some people, I understand it's almost 6 to 9 months when you finally get on Meals for Wheels. So maybe, you know, you can look into it and.
Yeah, I think that one actually through, I think what Carl was referring to was through a community action partnership with Kern, and they're actually involved in this as well. So they have a sort of role in the reporting with the Salvation Army. They're sort of one of our partners as well. They oversee the sort of countywide food rescue operations. So yeah, they'll certainly be a part of that. For us specifically, it's making sure that Tehachapi businesses aren't sending this stuff to the landfill and that's being recovered. So it's debatable on how much actual organic food is recoverable and edible once it leaves its shelf life of the supermarket. But again, these organizations like CAPK and the Salvation Army are keeping records of that and reporting that back to CalRecycle as our requirements from the law.
Okay. Any other public comment? Council? The Salvation Army really does, if you've ever gone in there for whatever reason, just to drop something off or whatever, they are busy and they are producing a lot of meals and there's a line all the time.
Yeah, they provide a lot to other East Kern communities. They are the only Salvation Army within the kind of 20-mile, 30-mile radius, if I'm not mistaken. So they benefit both in Tehachapi and East Kern communities that come for their supplement boxes or their commodities boxes as they come in. So they're doing quite a bit of business inside Tehachapi and outside as well. So it's benefiting local residents and surrounding communities. Yeah. And again, a lot of those donations are coming from the Tier 1 generators here in the city.
Okay. Does the public know what generous markets we have that are, you know what I mean?
You know, it's odd too because there are, and they they're required by law to do this as well. And there's certainly a generosity component. But when you talk to a lot of restaurants, because restaurants are actually listed in here, although we don't have any restaurants large enough to qualify as a Tier 1 or even a Tier 2, I think. The Tier 2 threshold is about 10, I want to say it was like 5,000 square feet over X amount of seats. We don't have a restaurant that large. But what basically, what they're coming to is we don't have those large places, but they order what they need. I've talked to restaurant owners and they say, we don't over order. We kind of know what our trends are for service. Yeah. And so we're not ordering extra food because that costs us money, especially now in food costs. So there's a lot of science to this, and so that's why the edible food part is a little tricky, because most of these businesses now really, they know what's being purchased, they know what's being sold, they know what they're cooking, and so there's not a ton of access. But maybe there are in larger cities, so that's why this was put in. But like CCI said, they have a portion it out, they know exactly what they're giving to each inmate. They don't have food waste because it's all pretty much, figured out ahead of time. So yeah, there's a generosity component to it, but there's also a lot of financials involved where these stores and restaurants know what they should order, so they don't have a lot of access.
We all pay for it at one point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wiggins?
Aye.
Councilmember Pokencourt?
Yes.
Councilmember Scribner?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davies?
Yes.
Mayor Smith?
Yes.
It was a 5-0 vote to approve the City of Tehachapi Edible Food Recovery Partnership Program in compliance with Senate Bill 1383.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Corey. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. A couple things for you this evening. I want to say thank you to Chief Krager and his staff at Tehachapi Police Department, also Caltrans, CHP, and Bike Bakersfield for a very successful bicycle rodeo that was hosted right here at the police department on Saturday. We were able to raffle off a couple bikes, have some bicycle safety courses, A lot of our police officers were out there teaching kids what stop signs mean, turning, and those sorts of things. Mayor Pro Tem Davies was in attendance also, so it was a great event. So thank you to Chief for hosting. Also, the city has partnered with Tehachapi Valley Recreational Parks District and the Tehachapi Valley Healthcare District, and he just texted me some of the numbers from our most recent blood drive today, actually. Our goal was 40 units, so we had 47 units of blood donated. Platelets and plasma. It was our second largest drive in the history of the city of Tehachapi, partnering with others for a blood drive. So obviously blood saves lives, and we encourage people to participate in that. And if you have any questions, you can always call Key Budge at the city of Tehachapi. As a reminder, Memorial Day Parade, May 30th. Starts at 10 o'clock. Our staging is 8:30, the old Kmart coming down F Street. So please come out, either participate in the parade or be a parade spectator on Memorial Day. Dawn Marsh and our Public Works Department will start installing flags on all of our streetlights next week. So we're really excited about showing our patriotism here in the city of Tehachapi. Also, we've partnered with the American Legion, where you can purchase a flag as a fundraiser for the American Legion at City Hall. So we have the flags now. How much are they actually, Key?
25 and 35.
25 and 35 for different sizes. They're made in American flags, and it's a fundraiser for the American Legion. So we'll sell the flag, collect the money straight in, straight out. We're just collecting them through cash and donating it right back, or giving it right back to the American Legion. Pinion Street Extension. So Jay told me today that we received clearance from Caltrans. It's a form called the E76. It's bureaucratic stuff, but
1,500 pages.
Yes.
Probably more. So we received our E76 today, which allows us to move forward on the design for the Pinion Street Extension. So that was a grant that we received a couple years ago. Remember, it was connecting Denison to where Pinion terminates there at the Heritage Oaks neighborhood. So we'll be designing and constructing the Pinion Street Extension late this summer. So I think California Edison needs to move some power poles, different things need to happen, but we're really excited about that. Also, we touched earlier about our budget. You know, this year and the next couple of years, it will be very challenging for the city of Tehachapi and many cities up and down our state with the unfunded mandates, our rising fire protection costs, and the cost of services and products just going up every day. So we'll be hosting, planning at this point, a budget hearing on June 6th. So we have a third Monday situation. So we won't be meeting again until June 6th. So we'll have a budget hearing at 4 o'clock and then regular council meeting at 6 p.m. That is the current plan. I'll let you know, of course, if that changes. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Any questions for Greg? All right. Joan, anything?
No, not particular.
I just want to say, if one person in Tehachapi wants to know why we're spending money on a dirt road to extend it, I challenge you to go out there one day after school and watch all the kids take that shortcut at 60 miles an hour. And their trucks do this, and I mean, it's a really dangerous situation. So
You say that laughing, it's like,
well,
but they do it.
Yeah, they
It's
do
like
it.
that.
I've seen them. I watch them.
It's the
But-
Baja California right here.
Yeah, but that will be wonderful. And then we'll have it paved, and then policemen can hide and give them tickets when they try to.
No, they don't hide.
I'm glad we're
Michael.
getting it done. It's a-
Yes, Mayor, I have something. Last Saturday, had an opportunity to go to the old hockey rink. Mayor Smith and myself was on the original board back in 1994. And there's a bunch of guys that are getting together and getting it back going. They've got 60 players, David Shea and his group. Claudia was there with the paper, did a great article on it. I appreciate that. Took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears back in '94 when Phil's children and my children played. Take a lot of pride in that hockey rink that's on Tehachapi Boulevard, and it's going to be rejuvenated. And they've got a great bunch of parents that are going to do it, and it's all volunteers. And I just think it's awesome. They're going to bring something back that our children can use. and play with, and our adults too. There's talk of an adult league again, I know. But it was something that we started in '94, and I think I was involved with it for 10 years, and Phil was involved with, I think, both of us for 10 years. And that's what Tehachapi is all about, and just really proud that it's coming back. So if you're out and about, and if you see, read the article in the paper that Claudia did, they're looking for some help. They're looking for volunteer time to paint and put some new boards up. And it's a lot of fun to go watch these little kids play hockey. It was a lot of fun, and I'm just really proud. I'm proud of the city, how we all come together and help, and this is an organization that's coming back, and I'd hope that we'd all participate and donate. If we can't donate our time, maybe we can donate a few dollars to this. I'm not saying that as the city, I'm just saying as a member of the community. I think it's a worthwhile event to get involved in. I'd like to thank everybody for that.
Thanks, Michael. Christina?
Yes, a few things. I want to echo what everyone said about Pinion. As a mother of 4 children that use those roads to school, I think that this is one of the most important projects that I've seen in my tenure on the council to pave that road. I think it makes sense from every vantage point. We're going to minimize the traffic on the other streets. We're going to have a safer, shorter route to school. We're all talking about how important it is that we're considering the environment. And so if you're driving half a mile to school instead of 3.5 miles to school, I think that's what we want. I do want to take an opportunity to thank Chief and his team. I think that this is a really important acknowledgement to consider the fact that we live in an amazing community that I feel safe in every single day, and it's because of you and your team, and we don't say that enough. I believe the vast majority of the people that live in this community appreciate what you and your team does every day and every night when we're sleeping to keep us safe. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, that we are just so grateful, and we're going to take this opportunity to really celebrate your team this week. And so I'm glad we made this announcement today and the proclamations, but I think there's more to be done, and I just want to make sure that we're all looking for ways to say thank you as often as we can.
Thank you.
The last thing, on Friday, Greg and I attended a really amazing event that I think is kind of a quiet movement that is really exciting. I serve on the advisory committee for the Tehachapi Art Commission's a project for Art 2022, Tehachapi Art 2022. Every year they have an amazing show in July that I want everyone to consider attending. There is a way to attend to support this effort, but there's also a way to attend for free and just showcase the beautiful region that we live in. It's a plein air juried art show, and for those of you that may have been out this weekend might have seen artists all over our community with urban paintings here in town. They went out to see the wild horses. They were painting the vineyards. They were painting the landscapes, and it's just really exciting that we are putting Tehachapi on the map as a destination for beauty. I think that is a wonderful way to literally illustrate our story. And so I just want to give a shout out to Dwight and Laura Dreyer and thank them for the time and energy and effort that they've put into this effort. I think it is a really important part of how we cultivate an understanding of what Tehachapi is. One of the things that Tehachapi is a beautiful region and a destination for artists. And this show is putting us on the map. They have people from, I think, a dozen states, a total of 40 artists that are coming to Tehachapi, painting Tehachapi, and then returning to showcase their beautiful pieces of Tehachapi in July. So I think that's important, and I'm excited, and I just want to thank them for contributing to the culture here in that way.
Thank you. Is this similar to what they did last year?
It is. It is an annual event. It's exactly the same. It's just every year they have it. The first year, just for a little context, they had about 35 artists. I think they have 40 this year. Their show, they sold almost 50% of the paintings that weekend.
Wow.
A typical plein air art show like that does well if they sell between 20 and 30%. So the fact that they're not only have wonderful artists coming, but that they're moving their artwork is just, we have collectors coming from all over the country. They want this to be a national show, and I think they're well on their way to doing that.
Yes.
A lot of the proceeds.
80% of the proceeds go to the artists, so that's a higher percentage than often happens, which means it's really they're not only helping showcase Tehachapi, but they're patrons of the arts and of the artists, which is a great way to get the highest quality of artists to participate. 20% goes back into their nonprofit to continue this wonderful project.
Yes. I came out last year whenever they had the artists out and about. I was going to the store and someone's in my parkway. Curious what they were doing. A lady was doing a painting of our house.
I have to share a funny story about that. Somebody came to someone's home and said, "I'd like to paint your house." And they said, "Oh, no, thanks, I just got a painting." So just, we have the PCT hikers, we've got the artists. I mean, lots to celebrate about the reason Tehachapi's on the map.
It was kind of interesting, yes. All right, very good. Everyone's had something. So I think I echo everything about our police department. It's going to be a nice week to be appreciated for the whole week, and a designation for our officers, all of them, and our volunteers. So now this coming weekend is the Stoll Short Takeoff and Landing.
No, it is
on the 28th.
That's the Memorial Weekend.
28th, not this weekend, right. Are they going to be at altitude in the pattern? Because that's going to be a busy aircraft day, isn't it?
It will be a busy aircraft day, but yes, they will follow the pattern and be at altitude.
Will they be reminded of that?
Yes, they go through that. They have a safety meeting ahead of time. So on Friday, they will do all their training, which is required for all the pilots that are coming out.
What's the training?
When I say training, so they actually have to go out and they're required to fly.
They learn how to fly.
No.
Go ahead.
They know how to fly. They're required to come out, they're required to fly the pattern, and so they understand where they are and everything about it. They can't compete on Saturday if they have not done their required training on Friday.
Okay. All right. Is the FAA aware, and is this an insured event? Just a silly question.
Oh, no, it's not silly. We make sure that they're insured. We have a certificate.
So how do they measure? The point of liftoff and the point of contact?
They have surveyors out there, right?
They have a laser beam that's being broken?
They have everything marked off, and it's kind of like a football field. Your 10-foot mark,
like
20-foot mark, so forth. And so they can see, they start them at a certain area, and then they can see as soon as they're off the ground.
So what's the time period? What part of the day?
I believe it goes from 11 to 4 on Saturday. And if they have invited anybody out, if you just want to watch them do the training on Friday, come out to Aviator Park and just kind of watch it go.
See, I would wait till the end of the session. You're going to get more wind, you're going to get more lift. Or is there a factor for wind speed that you get so everyone's even? You know what I mean? Just curious. I'd go last. Well, I remember at the glider port when I worked out there, and on the windy weekends, you're waiting for someone to come out to get their glider and hop in, and we'd be there with the stick that's on the ground, just kind of holding it down. You could almost get in and fly the thing because of the wind.
I'm sure they have a calculation for wind speed that they deduct. There is a calculation.
Yeah.
Because you're right. They could, if you were choosing, you would choose to be the last competitor, which would be smart.
More wind.
Right? More lift.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they take the wind speed into consideration.
It's all in the formula. All right.
They have several different classes, so I know those are all scheduled in by class.
Yeah.
So they're not going to have a whole lot of leeway with their timing.
All right. Okay, thank you. With that, we're going to go ahead into closed sessions. If there's anything to report, we'll come back here and do that.